There is a strange silence hovering over the Philadelphia Eagles right now, and if you think this is just another routine roster shuffle in the NFL, you might be ignoring the kind of detail that separates dynasties from disappointments. Because what is happening right now is not just about a linebacker. It is about a decision that could redefine the heart of this defense. It is about the kind of choice that, when it goes wrong, you only realize it was a mistake when it is far too late. The city of Philadelphia is not patient. It never has been. Here, love always comes with pressure. Every Sunday carries the weight of generations. After a recent title and a season that reignited Super Bowl expectations, the standard is not to compete. The standard is to dominate. And domination requires cold decisions, sometimes even ruthless ones. And that is where the name starting to circulate more aggressively behind the scenes comes in. Nakobe Dean. But before you react, before you say he is untouchable or expendable, take a breath, because this story is not simple. And the real question is not whether he is talented. The real question is this: what does the front office see that we do not? Dean was drafted with the promise of being the brain of the defense, an explosive, instinctive linebacker, a quiet but fierce leader. When healthy, he has shown flashes of the dominant player everyone envisioned, pressuring quarterbacks, attacking gaps like he knows the snap count before the center does, flying sideline to shut down the run. He is not just another rotational piece, he is energy, he is intensity. But in the NFL, talent is never the only variable. His projected contract value sits around $8 million per season. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. For a young linebacker with a high ceiling, it could even sound like a bargain. But the salary cap is not an abstract concept. It is a mathematical prison. Every dollar committed to one player is a dollar that cannot be used elsewhere. And this is where the fear creeps in. The championship window in the NFL is brutally short. You can have the right quarterback, a dominant offensive line, an aggressive defense, and still watch it all collapse within 2 seasons because of financial miscalculations. The front office knows this. Howie Roseman knows it better than anyone. He has seen the peak and the fall. He has watched a championship roster get dismantled piece by piece. So the question becomes deeper. Paying $8 million per year for Nakobe Dean, is that investing in the future or sacrificing flexibility? Because we are not just talking about one linebacker, we are talking about the domino effect. If Dean gets that contract, what happens when other young talents approach extension time? What happens when it is time to pay the next defensive cornerstone? What happens when a key veteran demands a restructure? The money is not infinite. The cap does not forgive. Now imagine 2 scenarios. In the first, the Eagles let Dean walk. He signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He stays healthy. He flourishes. He becomes the emotional leader of their defense. Then he faces Philadelphia in a decisive playoff game and records 2 sacks, forces a turnover, and changes the outcome. Can you see that headline? Can you feel the weight of that narrative? The fan base asking why he was allowed to leave just as he was entering his prime. Now imagine the second scenario. Philadelphia pays him, bets on continuity, trusts in his development, but injuries return, production fluctuates. And that contract that once looked fair starts to look like an unnecessary luxury. Meanwhile, another area of the roster suffers because there was not enough cap space to reinforce a critical weakness. This is the kind of decision that does not just show up on a spreadsheet. It echoes through the identity of a team, and there is more. The Eagles' linebacker room is not empty. There are young talents developing. There is depth. There is versatility. Perhaps the coaching staff believes they can generate similar impact through rotation at a lower cost. Perhaps they see something in practice that the public does not. Perhaps they believe the scheme can compensate for the absence of one specific name. But here is the emotional layer. A defense needs voices. It needs players who play with visible fire. Philadelphia loves athletes who embody that mentality. When he is on the field, Dean plays with that edge. He represents constant aggression. So letting him walk is not just about losing snaps, it is about losing a defensive personality. And that leads to a question nobody wants to ask out loud. Has the front office already decided that investing heavily at linebacker is no longer a priority? The modern NFL prioritizes edge pressure, elite coverage, and franchise quarterbacks. Linebackers, as important as they are, often become adjustable pieces in the financial puzzle. Are we witnessing that philosophy materialize right now? Howie Roseman does not act impulsively. Every move is calculated. Every contract is a chess piece. And when rumors gain traction that Dean could be targeted by Tampa Bay, it is not random. Tampa needs defensive energy. They need youth. They need someone who can be molded into a pillar. And what if they see in Dean what Philadelphia hesitates to pay for? That changes everything. Because if the Eagles believe they can replace him easily, that means they have deep confidence in internal development, confidence in the scheme, confidence in rotation, but too much confidence can turn into arrogance. NFL history is full of teams that believed anyone could be replaced until they realized some pieces were more valuable than they appeared. And here is the deepest layer of consequence: culture. Championship teams preserve cores. They maintain continuity. When you start letting young talent leave early, the internal message shifts. Players notice. They see how the organization treats those who produce when healthy. They recognize who is prioritized and who is considered replaceable. That affects future negotiations. It affects morale. It affects trust. On the other hand, paying everyone is impossible. Someone always leaves. So maybe the real question is not whether Nakobe Dean is worth $8 million per season. Maybe the real question is whether he is irreplaceable in what this team wants to become. If the answer is no, then the cold decision is to let him walk. But if there is any doubt, any spark that suggests he is about to take the leap into elite territory, then losing that bet could cost more than money. Philadelphia operates in constant urgency. This city does not tolerate slow rebuilds when elite talent exists on the roster. Every season without a title is seen as a wasted opportunity. And decisions like this are the small turning points that, added together, determine whether a championship window stays open or begins to close quietly. Because the window may look wide open right now, but in the NFL, 2 years disappear in a blink. And what if 2 years from now we look back and realize this was the inflection point? Maybe the front office is already 2 steps ahead. Maybe they know there is a specific draft prospect who can replicate production at a fraction of the cost. Maybe they are preparing a strategic extension at another premium position that requires every available dollar. But as fans, we are left with the tension. Are we watching the beginning of a defensive recalibration? Are we witnessing disciplined financial management? Or are we staring at a silent mistake that will only be obvious when it is too late? The truth is that the future of this defense may hinge on this decision. And here is the most uncomfortable part. Sometimes it is not about right or wrong. It is about timing. If Dean explodes in Tampa Bay, does that mean Philadelphia was wrong? Or simply that the fit was better elsewhere? If he stays and never fully ascends, is that the fault of the contract or the circumstances? What does the front office know that we do not? That is the question that should be echoing in your mind right now. Roster decisions do not happen in a vacuum. They are made with detailed medical reports, internal performance analytics, long-term projections, and conversations that never reach the public. There is information we do not have, but we do have instinct, and the Bird Gang trusts its instinct. So I want to hear from you. If it were entirely your call, would you pay $8 million per season to keep Nakobe Dean in Philadelphia? Or would you trust that the machine built by Howie Roseman can replace that production and allocate the money to another critical area of the roster? Are we talking about loyalty or strategy, passion or cold calculation? Because this decision, small on the surface, could be the difference between another parade down Broad Street or another winter filled with unanswered questions. Drop your take. Defend your position like you are in the war room. And if you are part of this fan base that lives every detail, that analyzes every contract like you are the general manager yourself, then stand with us now. The next move could come at any moment, and those who are paying attention always understand the impact before everyone else.